This video is sponsored by Saily, more on them later. This is Alex, the express train between Prague and Munich, and it might just be Europe's most disliked international train connection. With massive delays so frequent you can count on them to happen. There's so much that can go wrong on this train line, it is frankly a miracle on the rare occasion where everything actually goes as planned. And this has landed Alex the title as one of Europe's most hated international train connections. So, join me today as I take a ride from Czechia to Germany on this infamous route where, unsurprisingly, things don't exactly go as planned. Our journey begins at Prague main station, just a short walk away from the historic city center. I've probably shown this station around like 10 times now on my channel, and there'll be at least one other video from here this year, so let me make it brief. It's a fine station with all the expected amenities in terms of retail outlets, a ticket office, fast food offerings and so on. And there's also a convenient connection to the metro. Make sure to check out the large-scale Lego model of the entire station found next to the area with the main departure board. And if you have more time to kill before departure, make sure to visit the historic station building where you'll find some of the station's best cafes. Anyway, over to the platform where our Alex train is already waiting. The EuroCity to Munich is generally meant to carry at least 2 Alex compartment carriages and 2 open České dráhy carriages. And we are off to a good start today, because unlike many other Alex trains, we actually have all the carriages we are supposed to have. Our train will initially be hauled by this České dráhy Class 362 locomotive, which was built by Škoda in Plzen around 1990, and they are capable of 140 km/h. As our train is not due to depart for another 20-ish minutes, I had a quick look around at some of the other train traffic at the station. With Prague being one of the most important stations on the Czech railway network, there was a lot of traffic going in and out of the station. Everything from longer distance services to the double-decker commuter units that are slowly becoming a more rare sight. Anyway, let's head on board. Today I will be traveling in first class, which is supposed to be in one of the Alex carriages also shared with second class. And as you'll see a bit later in the video, first class on Alex is a little bit of a rip-off. Right, here we are at my first class compartment for the next just under 6 hours over to Munich. And a few minutes later we depart Prague main station, just running a minute behind schedule at 07:36. Heading out of the city, our route is full of many twists and turns following the many legacy railway corridors from when the lines were built many years ago. We pass by the train depot at Mikle, which is where České dráhy maintains a large portion of their fleet. A few more twists and turns later, we take the bridge crossing over the Vltava river that splits Prague in half. We are using the recently modernized Branik bridge that allows our train to head towards Plzen while avoiding the railway lines in the Smíchov area that's currently under heavy reconstruction. And with our train now well on the way towards Plzen, let's take a closer look at the route map. We are catching train number 360, which departs from Prague, taking the 430 km long route, which first includes a reversal at Schwandorf, followed by again in Regensburg, before heading all the way to Munich. The whole trip is scheduled to take 5 hours and 43 minutes, giving the train an average speed of just 75 km/h. The first bit of our journey is rather uneventful, as our train takes the pretty fast line to Plzen, running completely without stops. We pull into Plzen just a little over an hour later, and this is where the first of today's operational complexities begin. As the line from here down towards Germany is not electrified, we have to swap to a diesel engine. Specifically one of Alex's Siemens EuroRunner locomotives, capable of 140 km/h. And with a loco back on our train, it's time to head on board again and we can continue our journey down towards the German border. And speaking of international train border crossings, this is where today's sponsor Saily can be very helpful. Staying connected while I travel these days is honestly essential, and Saily makes that very easy and straightforward thanks to their digital SIM cards or eSIMs. I used them last summer when I was taking the night train from Georgia to Armenia, and at the Georgia-Armenia border there's no SIM card stores or in fact anything at all, but thanks to the eSIM I had bought from Saily, I could just enable that and stay connected from the moment we crossed the border. And as I'm headed off to Taiwan in just a couple of days, I've just installed another one of their eSIMs, and let me show you how easy that was to do. The whole thing takes just a couple of minutes to set up, and then once you land in your destination country, you simply just go into settings on your phone, and then you are connected, being able to look up how to take the metro on Google Maps to your hotel, or use the Uber app, or just send a text to your mom that you have arrived safely. So if you're traveling anywhere soon, make sure to download the Saily app on your phone and use my promo code Simon Andersen to get an exclusive 15% off their data plans. Thanks again to Saily for sponsoring this video, and now back to our video where we are just about to cross the border from Czechia to Germany. We are now traveling on the short unelectrified line from Plzen down towards the German border, and as we do that, let's take a closer look at the seats. First class on Alex comes in the form of 4 compartments like this with 6 seats each. I'm normally not a big fan of compartments as I don't like the feeling of being trapped in a small place with up to 5 strangers, but I do have to admit they are nice when you have one to yourself. One benefit of a compartment like this is that you can adjust both the temperature, the lights and volume of announcements to your own liking. And the temperature control also reveals some history, as these carriages were purchased second-hand from Trenitalia. Inside the compartment you'll also find a good amount of luggage storage in the form of these 2 racks above every seat. The seats themselves are pretty good, featuring a nice adjustable winged headrest, and they are also equipped with a power outlet, as well as a movable armrest that was very well padded. The seat itself is also very well padded, and you can even recline them a lot, so much so that you can actually create a little bed like this. I'm not sure how useful this actually is, but it is a nice feature to have, I guess. I also really appreciate Alex fitting first class with a proper table, as this is something compartments usually doesn't have, even in first class. Overall, it's comfortable. But the only downside is that the other Alex carriage is second class only and has nearly identical compartments. They just have a little less legroom and the standard compartment tables. So I guess you can make the decision if you think it's worth paying a premium for a bigger table and slightly more legroom. We will check out the rest of the train's interior, including the Czech carriages, a bit later in the video, but now we are approaching the German border. As we make our last stop in the Czech Republic, I noticed that the Alex train from Munich we were meant to meet here was running around half an hour late. So I got a little worried that things might not continue as smoothly once we head over on the German side of the border. We departed on time, now heading through the dense forest here in the border region, where we crossed the border into Germany pretty uneventfully at this hut on the edge of the forest. Just a couple of minutes later, we slowed down again to make our first stop in Germany, which is Furth im Wald. Germany, alongside quite a few other European countries at the moment, despite being in Schengen, carry out nonsense border control checks on trains and other border crossings, which often causes delays. Thanks guys! And speaking of delays, because of a speed restriction on the German side from Furth im Wald to Schwandorf, we have picked up a delay of 11 minutes on arrival here. In Schwandorf, our train needs to run around in order to continue heading south towards Munich. And historically, this station has been the center of many delays and frustrations for Alex passengers. The service from Prague used to be combined with another train from Furth, meaning that if the Furth train was late and passengers from Prague were on time, they would also be delayed waiting for the train from Furth. While if the Alex portion from Prague was late, it would miss the Furth train, leading to it being cancelled in Schwandorf and passengers left stranded. However, this has since been changed and now the train operates on its own all the way to Munich, which has greatly improved reliability. Adding another Euro runner to the other end of the train today took longer than the timetabled 8 minutes, and we are now departing Schwandorf with a delay of 17 minutes. The line from Schwandorf to Munich is very busy with other trains, meaning that if we get stuck behind another slower stopping service, our delay could increase. And that's before mentioning we still have another loco change and reversal left at our next stop, Regensburg. But before we get to Regensburg, let's have a closer look around the rest of the train. The first class carriage I was traveling in is a bit special in that it also has a mobile ticket office thing as well as a small cafe. But I didn't see staff here at any point during the journey, so I'm not sure if this is still used or the staff was just not present. It's also interesting that they have this cafe because on the Czech side of the journey there was a trolley service. The carriage also features a special compartment for kids, which is second class, and the remaining compartments are the first class ones that I've been traveling in. Further down we have the accessible area, where you'll find some fold out seats as well as the accessible toilet. Heading across we get into one of the Czech carriages. Here you'll find some space for bikes. And now we're at it, let's have a closer look at the toilet. This was certainly not in the best state. I mean, it was clean, but the bin thing over here was completely broken and just wouldn't lock back up. But toilet paper was provided and the water was working, so I can't be too mad at it, but it could definitely be better. The Czech carriages feature an open style seating layout in a 2+2 layout. There's a mix of both airline and table style seating, and these seats are pretty comfortable and also has features such as a tray table as well as a power outlet. Back at my seat, we are now approaching Regensburg, still running around 20 minutes late. From here on, the railway line is electrified all the way to Munich and we will swap to an electric locomotive. Regensburg is also a busy commuter town, and as our train operates as a mere regional express in Germany, we will have a few extra carriages added here too to take on the extra passengers. The new and final locomotive for our journey is this Siemens EuroSprinter, which is capable of 230 km per hour, although we won't go anywhere near that speed on today's route. As we depart from Regensburg, our train is pretty much just a regular slow regional express train, meaning we have pretty low priority overall and probably won't make up too much time as the rails only get busier and busier until Munich, where we should arrive hopefully in a little more than 1 hour from now. As for onboard services and other features on Alex, well, there really isn't much. On the Czech side you get a trolley service, on the German side the cafe might be open sometimes, it wasn't on my trip. There's free Wi-Fi, which didn't work at all for me during the journey at any point, so overall this is really not a great showing for an international train between two major European cities. And honestly, there's really not much good things I can say about Alex. It's just slow, which is partly caused by it having to be a regional train in Germany, and also because it's so overly complex with all the runarounds and locomotive changes. There is just so much that can go wrong on this journey, and in turn it often does, so random 20-minute delays like ours today just end up being the norm rather than the exception. But credit where it is due, it has improved a little bit over the past few years, and hopefully that trend will continue, although it will probably require new infrastructure and trains to eliminate the most obvious areas where this service currently struggles. As our train arrives into Munich, all there's left to talk about is tickets. They vary based on demand and time of booking, but start from as little as 16 euros in second class and 39 euros in first class. The prices in second class are generally quite good and affordable, but I personally would not bother with first class again unless I really wanted to sit in a compartment with a proper table. Just grab one of the second class compartments, they are basically just as good as the first class ones. We arrive at München Hauptbahnhof or Munich main station in the end at 13:37, 19 minutes behind schedule, after what's ultimately been a not so great journey, but certainly not the worst by Alex standards. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. If you liked it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as I try to post a new one every Sunday. And if you want to give the channel a little extra support, consider joining the membership program. For just a couple of euros every month, you can support the channel, get early access to all my videos, as well as exclusive travel updates. To continue the journey, why not watch my video on Thales, Europe's most hated international high-speed train? And thanks again to Saily for sponsoring this video. Use my code Simon Andersen at checkout or the link in the description to get an exclusive 15% discount.